Hello and welcome to the Rebellion, episode 29 of Radio Rebellion, a Star Wars podcast. Thank you guys for joining me today on this fine Saturday, July summer in Florida, which is too hot, but that's what we get for living in Florida. Thanks again for everyone that's taking the time today to spend with us talking about Star Wars. I always appreciate it. Next week for episode 30, we'll probably be doing a review of Shadows Fall, the second book in the aftermath in the Alphabet Squadron trilogy. But that's next week. That's episode 30. No one's here to talk about episode 30. Here we're going to talk about women in Star Wars and who else this is not a topic just for me to talk about. So who else but Michelle and Natalie from Force of Light Entertainment joining me today to talk about some of our favorite female characters in Star Wars. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Natalie. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, doing good. How about you?
Not too
Glad to
bad.
be here.
Yes, thanks again. I reached out to you a few weeks ago. We set this up pretty quickly. I think I was watching you guys on the Certain Point of View podcast on the YouTube show a few weeks ago, probably a month or so ago. And then I like having guests, even though I haven't had a lot of guests on the show. And I said, let me reach out to Force of Light, see if they want to join me on Radio Rebellion. I did. You guys answered back pretty quickly, told me the topic you wanted to go over and said, yes, let's do it. 3 weeks later, I think, and here we are. So again, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, well, thank you for having us. We're excited to be here and to talk this subject because we haven't discussed this on our podcast. So this is going to be fun for us.
Fun subject, yes.
Yeah, I did a little bit for Mother's Day episode. Of course, talk about a few of our mothers in Star Wars. So talk about Leia, talk about Padme, and a few others. But didn't go too much into the role apart from being the mothers in Star Wars. So yeah, I'm stoked to jump into this topic. Stoked to have you guys here. So I know it's been a week since July 4th, but how was your Independence Day weekend?
It was fun. We fittingly watched Jaws recently and are going to record on Jaws for our podcast tomorrow. And
Nice.
we actually were kind of late. Our dad set off fireworks just the other night.
A little to the game. Better
Yeah,
late than never.
Yeah, of course. We had a few fireworks here, I think 2 days ago, out of nowhere. People, I guess they forgot they have some and just started setting them off. I was pretty loud over here, I guess, since people can't go out to fireworks show. There was a lot of people doing their own here in Florida. Again, it's Florida. They don't follow the rules too much here anyways. So yeah, it was pretty loud, but my kids enjoy it, so that's always fun.
That's fun. You got a free show then.
Yes, we just a couple of houses back, so you can see them going up. So it was pretty good. I have a few sparklers, so we did our part with a couple of sparklers and stuff. But
The sparklers are fun.
Yes.
yeah, unfortunately, both my kids have gotten burned. Even we've told them, don't hold it once it's off. Oh, let me hold, and then eventually they'll understand.
Yeah.
All right. So, have you guys been doing any fun Star Wars related things this past week?
No, not really. They have Empire Strikes Back is on a theater here in the mega screen, and I'm thinking about checking that out.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, for me, I'm trying to finish the Shadows Fall novel. It's taking me a little bit longer to go through it, but taking my time. And then I posted the other day on Twitter,
Oh,
yay,
yes.
first baby Yoda in the house. And I was so excited when my wife texted me a picture, and then I saw that it wasn't a picture of the baby Yoda, it was my daughter holding baby Yoda. I'm like, wait a minute, who's that supposed to be for? I don't think it's mine. And then, oh yeah, that's the family's baby Yoda, so it's not mine. So
You can get one of all the different types of baby Yodas, and you all can
yeah,
share them.
Yes.
I mean, my birthday is coming up in 5 days, so fingers crossed that there's some in there.
You can't go wrong with Baby Yoda.
No, you can't. Oh, yes, we should do a whole show just on Baby Yoda and all the merchandise out there, all the bone broth, eating the frog, it's everything.
Yes, it's all great.
All right. Yes. All right. So before we get into a few questions, just in case our viewers or listeners or listening to this on the podcast later on are not too familiar with you and your show, we'll get into some questions. But before then, let's check on the chat because it's going off. Let's see who's there. Say hi to a few people. And of course, Michael Condor from Tumet2 is here. Mr. Rez, thank you, Mr. Rez, for showing up. Danny, thanks, Danny. Hello to everyone out there. Of course, Force of Light also said hi to everyone, so hi. Eden Gray, staple of the chat. Thanks for being here. Banofire, okay, I don't know what's going on, but that's fine too. And Peter Biox, Peter, and thanks again. Another one of our staples here on the chats. Thanks, Peter. You're not late. We're going to be here for a while, so don't worry about it. All right, and who else? But from a certain point of view, thanks for joining. We were just talking about you a few minutes ago, so hopefully you got to hear me. But all right, so let's go on. Let's talk a little bit about Force of Light. And I should say, Natalie, my daughter's name is Natalia. So if I say your name too loud, she might come running thinking that I'm calling her. But yes.
That's cute. One of my dad's employees growing up, she used to actually always call me Natalia, So I know that's kind of a different version of my name.
Yeah, so my daughter, even though it's a Spanish name, she goes to school in the state with mostly US kids. So they call her Natalie. And sometimes she's fine with it. Sometimes she's, that's not my name. So it depends on her mood for that day.
Right.
All right. So talking about Force of Light, how did you guys, or when did you decided that you wanted to do a podcast? Why did you decide on this format? Because you're not just a Star Wars podcast. You talk about movies. I know you've been doing a lot of 80s shows and TVs recently. You say you're going to do a Jaws one tomorrow. So how did you guys came up with the premise for it, the name? Did you have any other names?
Well, actually, Force of Light, I was starting a Christian podcast, and I have it as the Force of Light podcast. Mm-hmm. And I came up with a name playing off of Christianity and Star Wars. So that's how I came to, and it was literally the first thing I wrote down Forces of Light, and then I immediately put a slash through the S and said, no, Force of Light. And so then I came up with the idea because I love to talk entertainment. I love movies and TV and love Star Wars. So I was like, Natalie, because I will go in and talk Natalie's head off about a movie or TV. So one day I was just like, I'm already starting this one podcast. Why don't we start Force of Light Entertainment and we can discuss movies, because I already do that with you anyways. So we can just record it now. So that's really how it all came about. And we've had so much fun meeting so many different awesome people that we've gone to meet already, like you. And I see from a certain point of view out there, and so many of you in the chat have really made this experience wonderful, and it's been fun. And we're just, excited about continuing to grow and be able to have more content. And so it's been a fun experience.
And it's a great community.
It is. Yeah. It's a very supportive community.
Yeah, I know, especially if you just spend all your day on Twitter, that Star Wars fans sometimes are not the best or have the biggest mind out there to take different opinions and stuff. But I've also seen that at least the people that I follow and that follow me are very supportive. Like you said, even we're pretty new in the podcasting game, if you want to say. But the support we get, I know you guys get it, and I've gotten it also from other podcasters. So other people have the YouTube channel is so big. It doesn't matter if they have thousands of followers, a couple of hundreds. Everyone is there for one another. A couple of times I've asked, hey, can someone wants to join me on the show? I usually get a couple of, whenever you want, we'll jump in and we'll talk about it. So it's a very supportive community, at least the ones that this small Star Wars circle that we kind of are a part of. But it's good to know you guys had a name set. It worked, even if it was a Christian podcast first, Forces of Light. That's all in Star Wars anyway, so you can just transfer it over. So it works great. So what have you learned from your first episode, or what have you learned in the progress of doing your podcast that you wish you knew at the beginning?
Well, I pretty much went into it knowing you're gonna just have to learn as you go along a little. So I think that as we've gone on, you just get more comfortable. I think even by about episode 3 or 4, you can even almost just hear more of a comfortability in the way we talk. And I constantly I listen to our podcast so I can kind of learn from them and try to improve. And from the beginning, I've cut out, like in the first couple episodes, I would say, yeah, no. And I don't even say that, but I would say it all the time.
It's just like a nervous tick.
Yeah. So I would say I've learned to kind of stop a lot of my nervous ticks that I had in those first couple episodes. And hopefully we'll continue to smooth that out even as we continue.
And for me, I think I still have to work on sometimes to slow down. Like, it's okay if not every second is, filled up with talking. It's okay to take your time a little more so.
Well, even our mom's like, sometimes maybe you guys should slow down a little. But like Natalie and I, if you just...
We are kind of fast talkers.
I said it, we're kind of like the slogan of the Gilmore Girls, life short, talk fast. Like, that's just kind of how we are.
Yeah. I used to listen to my podcast also just to find, especially the first couple of ones, but then I started finding too many things that I didn't like. And it takes a while just to get used to your voice. So I'm over that. But the first one...
That's another thing. Yeah, I hate my voice. I hate the sound of my voice. So Michelle listens to them, which is good. And she can critique me, but I tend to not listen to them because I don't want to hear myself.
Yeah, for me, at least I noticed the first one, I think I mumbled a lot through it or was speaking too slow. So I gotta talk a little bit louder, a little bit slower. But then I started finding too many errors or things that I thought were errors, and that just threw me out of a loop. Oh, what am I doing? All this stuff. And then I, just don't worry about it. There's going to be errors. Most people don't care. They just want to listen to whatever you're talking about. Everyone makes errors. So kind of doesn't need to be perfect every time. So that's what I kind of got out of it. And I'm like you, Michelle. I don't say yeah, no, but I used to say kind of a lot. And one day my wife walked in on a piece of paper. She wrote kind of in big letters and started showing it to me every time I said it. So it's posted next to this wall here that I can see every time. So I'm trying not to say it too much now.
Well, and then once I broke, yeah, no, I went through this momentary phase where I started saying, all the time. So I literally, like your wife, wrote on a piece of paper, it had like a no sign, like the cigarette sign, and with in it.
Almost, yeah. Two colors, seems very neon-like. It's next to, I'm looking at it right now. So every time I say it, I can hear myself now saying it. So I think I've lowered them down to about 2 or 3 a show. I'm sure that people on the chat now are going to be doing a drinking game with yeah, no's, and kind of. So if you get drunk out there, it's not our fault.
That's right.
Do it at your own risk.
Yes. It's a weekend. There's really nothing going on. You can't go out too much. So stay home if you drink too much.
Right.
So recently you guys started your own YouTube channel. I checked it out a few times. So how did that all come about, and how are you liking the experience of not just the podcast, but the YouTube?
Well, once I decided to do the entertainment one, YouTube was always in the back of my mind, because it's just a way to meet new people, to get more people listening. Because some people, it's like you're either a YouTube person or a podcast person.
Like, to be honest, I'm kind of more a YouTube person, but I'm learning to enjoy podcasts also.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. It was always kind of in the game plan. I knew it would be easier to kind of work through some of the kinks and begin to get more comfortable when it was just audio only. So that's why it was kind of like, well, now it's time to. Actually, it was a certain point of view that kind of gave us the confidence, because we went on with them, and it was like, oh, well, that was fun. So that's kind of when I began. It was like,
I was so nervous for some reason.
I was too nervous that first time, but it was a good icebreaker, and especially being on with other people, it took the focus off of us all the time. So it was so nice to get to do that. And then after that's when it was like, well, it's time for us to begin to do this too.
And I think we're still getting used to it. I mean, we're still pretty new to it, and we've only been doing it a few weeks with that. But what was I gonna say?
Well, I lost my train of thought. Because and you know this, it's a whole nother level of getting comfortable when people are watching you, plus than just audio.
Yeah.
So that's been a learning curve. It is a learning curve.
So first thank you to Josh and Adam from Certain Point of View for getting you comfortable enough to jump in. I
Yeah,
was
thank you
similar.
guys.
Yes. I was thinking about it before starting the podcast. It's not something I've been thinking about for years and years. Oh, I want to do this. Just at the beginning of the year, say, I know Star Wars. I like talking about Star Wars. I'm sure my family doesn't like hearing me always talk about Star Wars, or maybe other people might. So I was thinking doing the YouTube thing first. But I'm like, I know nothing about YouTube, nothing about recording videos, uploading it. I don't know any of this. So let me go with podcast because it seemed a lot easier just to get started. But then I said, I'm just going to try it once after I figured out that it was pretty easy, anyways. And yeah, for me, it's a lot better. I prefer doing this. It gets I think, my personality out a little better than through the audio podcast. Usually for podcasts, if I stop to think for 2 or 3 seconds and it's just quiet, I think people are going to just, something happened. They're going to shut it down. So I was always stopping, recording that part here. People can see me thinking, I can move my hands or take the attention off. So it's a lot better, I think, to get to express oneself through the video. So I do like this better, especially with the chat and getting to talk to everyone.
Well, that's what I was going to say, especially for you. Like, it's hard to do it by yourself. So,
Yeah.
especially when you're by yourself, to have the people interacting and the chat going, I'd say it's probably a tremendous plus.
Yeah, that's, I guess, the main reason I like the live shows. The reason I said it before that I started the podcast was just to talk to similar-minded Star Wars fans, I guess. And this gives me the opportunity, like you said, I don't have a co-host, maybe someday, but it gives me that opportunity to interact with other fans and doing it live at the same time, not going through comments or let me see what they put on Twitter, just doing it at the same time. It's makes me comfortable, makes the audience comfortable. We can just bounce ideas off each other. So yes, I do enjoy it a lot. And with that said, before we move on, let's see what the chat is saying since we're talking about them. Who else has show? I saw someone. Let me find it because I don't want to leave them out. Here we go. Vader Girl 21. Hell, how you doing? Thanks for joining us on episode 29 of Radio Rebellion. And here we go. From a certain point of view, is saying that their wife loves Jaws also. So hopefully she'll be tuning to your show tomorrow. Dale, thanks, Dale. How you doing? How are you doing today, Dale? I'm getting all these names mixed up. And yeah, everyone's there. And like Peter said, because he has his own podcast, Jam Transmission Complex, we are all our worst critics. That's right. Sometimes right now I'm in the zone. I love what I'm doing. It 2 days from now, I'm gonna be. I gotta record another one on Saturday. I don't know what to talk about. So I don't know if you guys get that sometimes.
Yeah, it's funny how it does go back and forth like that. Like sometimes you're feeling really good about yourself.
Yeah.
And then other times you're like, do I stink at this? Like, why am I even doing this? Or maybe that's just me. But yeah. And the other thing, I don't know if you like when you do are yours always live? Do you do any YouTube videos that aren't live?
The first two, at least the first one wasn't live, just to get me in the flow of how it worked. And either one or two were not live, and then I usually do them live. So I don't know.
Well, and I like the lives. I think they're a lot of fun. And like as people find you more and start to join, and like I like reading people's comments and hearing what they have to say. But Michelle and I on our podcast or YouTube, we don't edit. So it's always like that kind of adds. We don't know how to edit. So that adds to the, I think, some of the anxiety to get it right. Because we've definitely had a time or two. We've been 40 minutes in and had to start over.
Okay. It happened like on the third podcast and maybe recently, but
maybe very recently.
Yeah, I used to, when I just did the audio podcast, the first one I just went on for about a little bit over an hour, like 65 minutes. And I didn't know that at 60 minutes, if you didn't take a break, it cut off automatically. So I just kept talking for about 5 minutes, had to record that part again. And then I started doing very simple editing as I was going on. So maybe a 35-minute podcast was taking me 2 hours because I was stopping. I don't like this. Let me repeat myself, edit this out. And then it seemed I was just reading a script, basically, because I didn't want to make any mistakes. And like you've mentioned, doing it live, everything's out the window. Don't worry. Whatever happens, happens. And it's always, you usually get the best response that way. And I'm just going to add to Michael, Hopefully you have some pants on right now, because I don't want to think about you with no pants
I
after
was
listening
seeing
to it.
something. I was seeing something about that in the thing. It's a little far away, but something about somebody not having pants on.
Yeah, Michael Condor, Tumet2, saying that he usually puts pants on when he's doing his live show, just in case. You never know where the camera's going to end up. So hopefully also when he's listening to us, he has pants on.
Better
But
safe than sorry.
yes, it's his opinion. He can, if he wants to, that's fine. All right. So with that said, if you guys are ready, I know I'm ready. Let's talk Star Wars. And this is usually when we go into our Star Wars news section. But like I said earlier, there's really any big new Star Wars story out there. There is one little news. I don't want to say little. There's one news where it touches a little bit upon what we're going to be talking about. So I'll just leave it for later and just interweave it into the conversation.
Okay.
So like I try to do with my guests, which I haven't, I think you're the third guest that we've had, but the first one on the live show. So thank you again.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
So I like to have fun with our Star Wars family, our Star Wars friends. So what's the weirdest Star Wars gift that you've either given or received? And since you do all type of movies, 80s stuff, if anything that you receive related to your podcast that you think is kind of weird.
I've not ever received anything from our podcast. So if anyone wants to send me something funky and weird, you can feel free to do
So
it.
let me rephrase something related to what you cover. So if you talk about a lot of different movies, 80s shows, Star Wars, any weird gift that any geek gift or nerd gift that's kind of weird. While you guys think about it, and I did mention this on my last time I had some guests over, but it wasn't on the live show. I'm gonna show it this time, and it's gonna put it there. All right. So yes, that's a Hungarian Star Wars: The Force Awakens storybook, and it has some masks that you can make yourself. And I don't speak Hungarian. I can't follow this. It cuts halfway, so where they're planning the mission for Starkiller Base, it stops there for some reason. So if you didn't see the movie, you don't know how it ends. If you don't speak Hungarian like I do, you don't know what's going on either. And you can make some Chewbacca mask. So I think this is the weirdest Star Wars gift that I received.
That's a hard one to top.
That is a hard one to top. I don't think we really have any weird ones. I will say that what you got Izzy the Chewbacca onesie. And I have to say that her daughter has a lot of courage. Like she'll go in public in the Chewbacca onesie and just own it.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a few adults out there, probably in the chat. I'm thinking of one person that might do that if they have an adult size. But it's... Again, with my birthday coming up, you never know. Maybe next week I have an even weirder gift to talk about. But it's one of those things that when people know you're a Star Wars super fan, everything that they see, they come back, hey, I saw something Star Wars, and it reminded me of you. Then I had my a couple of weeks ago, so I saw a Yoda pest dispenser, and I thought of you, and like, oh, okay. Do I look like a pest dispenser, or why? And then today a coworker was at some place and she saw a little Chewbacca plush toy. So, hey, I saw this. Okay, thanks. You're going to send it to me? Probably not, but thanks, I guess.
Now people will send me like on Instagram or something, like a meme or something. They're like, ooh, I thought you would like this, or something from YouTube. Ooh, I thought you'd like this. So
yeah.
I did have a nice coworker. It wasn't a weird gift. It was a sweet gift. But at the Christmas like Secret Santa thing a couple years ago, she got me a pop socket for my phone that had Princess Leia on it, and it says, "Don't call me princess." So that was what she thought of to get for me. So that was really sweet. And then I currently have it. I think Michelle's getting ready to
yeah.
have
Then Natalie,
the child. Let's see.
actually, I gave you that phone case.
And the child.
Oh.
Turn the phone. I gave her the phone case.
Yeah.
And then Natalie gave me the Baby Yoda pop socket with the stick.
Yeah. Just make a separate podcast, just all Baby Yoda all the time.
Yeah, can't go wrong.
Yeah. All right. So what's your earliest Star Wars memory, or when you said, yes, Star Wars, this is for me? When was the earliest memory that you have?
Well, and I can't even actually remember this, but we have it on camera. I was about 2 to 2.5, and we went to Disney World in Orlando, which they had at Hollywood Studios, of course,
Yeah.
the Star Tours. And my brother had gone to Darth Vader helmet and a Stormtrooper helmet, like really nice ones they had. And I got like a little blue Luke's lightsaber. So we have video footage of me when I think I'm like 2, because I can't even really talk English. I'm just mumbling.
What language were you speaking?
I was speaking, I guess, Ewok language. It was a Star Wars language. Yeah, that's what I was doing. And I'm literally just marching around the hotel room with my lightsaber, mowing down my brother with his Darth Vader mask on. I definitely didn't go the ways of the Jedi. I definitely flowed in the anger more than I did the light side of the Force. But so that's kind of the youngest we have that caught on camera, and I'd love to somehow post that at some point. But I just remember watching, like when we were probably 5, 6, like my brother would turn on the VHSs at the time, and we'd have like an all-day Star Wars marathon. So and talking about it with our friends. So so we have that kind of image from when I was about 2, and then as I got older, it just became something we watched and talked about all the time.
And I with her, because our older brother, he was a huge fan from the time he was tiny. So I grew up watching it as well. But it was really not until I was an adult, I would say, that like I watched it kind of with like fresh eyes, and I caught so many things that I loved about it, and even kind of the spirituality of Star Wars that I think is very much there. And I just kind of grew this love and appreciation for it.
Yeah, I've said before, I think I'm like you, Michelle. I don't know if this is my memory or someone implanted it on me, or my mom told me too many times, and I think I was there. I always say I was 3 years old watching Return of the Jedi in the theater, sitting in my mom's lap, crying when Jabba the Hutt comes out, which is pretty scary for a 3-year-old.
Yes.
But I don't think I would remember something from when I was 3, so maybe something that my mom told me later on, and I just envision it. But that's my earliest Star Wars memory. Similar to you, Natalie, I've always been a Star Wars fan. We used to have the VHS, and we saw them at home, the original ones, before the new edition. But I really became the fan that I am now when the special editions came out back, I guess, 96 or 97, being 16, 17 years old, watching them again, changing from Return of the Jedi as my favorite to Empire, seeing all the different themes. And Star Wars is such a movie that you can like as a kid. As you get older, you start seeing all the different themes in it. Like you mentioned, you take a different appreciation to it. And then when I became a parent, I see it in a different way also. So it's not just the lightsabers, it's the whole story in it that transcends time and generations.
Yeah, that's what I would say too. As I got older, as a kid, I loved the lightsabers and the friendships. As I became a teen, I really began to appreciate Han and Leia's romance. And then as you continue to get older, you begin to truly pick up all the incredible life and spirituality things that you can pull out of Star Wars that can really, I think, is why it's so special and speaks to so many people.
As I was listening to your Empire Strikes Back episode a few weeks ago, and you mentioned that growing up, your favorite one was Return of the Jedi, I believe, and then you switched to Empire Strikes Back, which now it's your favorite movie of all time. Do you know or remember why you switched from Jedi to Empire as your favorite?
I think because, again, with Jedi, as a kid, I just loved that Luke was finally this big Jedi, this awesome Jedi. And as I got older, I loved the Han and Leia aspect of Empire and the Yoda aspect. And that's when it was kind of in my late teens when I think the final prequel had come out at that point, because I was 16, had just turned 16 when I went and saw Revenge of the Sith. Just got my driver's license. And awesome
Great
moment.
place to go, boy. First drive with a license, Revenge of the Sith. That's a
great way to go.
First stop.
First place to go with freedom. And So it was around 16 years old, I would say I began to shift to Empire of me just being like, dang, that movie's really, really good. And it was because I was always a Han girl, but it was that Han and Leia romance that just really got me. And it's just so good in that movie. And of course, leads up to that one of my favorite moments in all movie history with the Han, I love you, I know. So I think that's kind of when I made the switch.
I think from start to finish, there's just so many good elements of that particular movie.
That movie doesn't have one kind of dry moment or slow moments. Like everything, it just keeps building and building. Like it's just such a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, one thing now that you mentioned that great line, not the end, but close to the end of Empire Strikes Back, and we'll talk a little bit about it when we talk about Leia in a few minutes. I was thinking, I think you guys changed my mind a little bit in that episode because I always try to find the best in everything Star Wars. I know that not every movie is perfect. There are usually issues with everything, but we try to focus on the positive. And to me, the relationship between Han and Leia, even though it does work, it seemed rushed. Like it came out of nowhere because Leia is always pushing him away at the beginning. She doesn't seem that interested. And then a couple of days later, she's, oh, I love you, I know. But you guys talk about it in a different way. I don't want to talk about it now. We'll wait till we'll talk about Leia. But the way you brought it up, the way you saw it, made me think about it in a different way. So we'll talk about it in a few minutes so our fans can listen to it.
Awesome. Yeah, well, that means I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So before we move on to a few questions, let me see who else is in the chat today, what they're saying. Eden Gray, I will be the shortest Wookiee ever, talking about, I'm guessing, the onesie when we're talking about it, but she will definitely wear an Ewok onesie in Ewoks. If you listened to this show before, I'm not the greatest Ewok fan, but I'll leave it at that. I don't want to lose viewers. And then from a certain point of view, telling me to throw my head back like a pesty dispenser and spit out some candy. Next time someone shows me something, I'm gonna say, what did you think of me? Just because it's Star Wars, I'm more than just a Star Wars fan. But that's not for them. All right, so a couple more questions. So it's a great debate between Star Wars fans. So we have the Imperial Walkers in Hoth. Do you call them AT-ATs, AT-ATs? Doesn't matter. Walkers. What do you call those?
I call them AT-ATs or walkers. Those are the two I go with. Natalie's like the things in Empire.
Well, because I think I asked you
She did.
what to call them or what the proper, and I remember you said AT-ATs, from what I remember. Am I saying that right? AT-AT.
Yes, AT-AT. Yes.
Right, so I'm interested in what the chat has to say. So I don't know how you guys are gonna write it so I can read the difference between AT-AT or AT-AT, but I don't care. I think it depends what I'm thinking. I'll say AT-AT, I'll say AT-AT, just walkers. I think last time I even forgot they were called Imperial Walkers, so it doesn't matter. So you mentioned when you rewatch A New Hope in Disney Plus before your episode, you saw the new addition to the Han and Greedo scene, who shot first. So in your mind first, who shot first, and what does McClunky mean?
I think it definitely Han shot first is what I think. And McClunky, like, you almost wonder if it's like kind of like you're dead or something like that. I don't know. He just says it right before he gets shot. Greedo says it. Well, they added it in. Yeah, I kind of wonder if it's like you're dead or maybe kind of an FU if it was in that. It seems like, my point is, it seems like a derogatory statement in the way it's put, where it's put, probably. Right. Like if he was Italian, he'd be giving him like a gesture. Like that's kind of how it comes across.
Yeah. So what do you think, Natalie? What do you think of this weird addition to that iconic scene, just to make it even more of a point of discussion than it was before?
Well, not to be boring, but I have to say, I guess I would agree with Michelle that it was kind of your toast kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, that would actually probably be the way George Lucas would say it too. Your toast, like it would be like very innocent, but yes, kind of getting the same point across.
Right.
Yeah. I want to say I looked it up. I think it's something Time to Die or something like that, which goes the same vein that you guys are saying it.
Okay.
The reason I laugh, I don't care who shot first. To me, that scene works anyway. But the addition of McClunky, first, it doesn't make sense. And the voice actor or whoever did the McClunky doesn't sound anything like Greedo at that point. So it just throws me off completely. It just seems so out of place. No reason to add it. There's no subtitles. So again, what the hell is McClunky? So
Yeah,
again,
so much of what's added doesn't make any sense. Like I, to this
true.
day, fast forward through the Jabba the Hutt in A New Hope scene because
Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't fit.
it makes me mad that it's there.
yeah, Solo kind of just levitates when he's walking over him. It's pretty weird. So from a certain point of view, they say AT-AT. Michael Condor said they're interchangeable, so similar to what I said. They all said add. So people, again, everyone says it a different way. Peter says I'm an add kind of guy, but Star Wars, the vowels can be pronounced any way Lando wants. Hey, that's right. How would Lando say add? That's a good one, Peter. All right, so a couple more questions before we jump into our main topic. But so you might have said it already that your favorite scene in Star Wars is that scene in Empire between Han and Leia. Apart from that, is there another scene that speaks to you, both of you?
Well, I'll go first. Probably one of my favorites still is in Return of the Jedi, and it is one of the most powerful scenes to me is that standoff with the Emperor, and there's Luke and Darth Vader. And when Darth Vader is having that moment of decision and he's looking back and forth at the Emperor and then at Luke, and he ultimately decides to do the right thing and totally redeem himself. But yeah, that's one of my favorite moments or sequences in the film.
Yes, Luke's whole that whole scene is incredible.
Mhm.
But then also I'd probably go back to Empire and the whole scene with Yoda. To me is Yoda's
Yeah.
introduction between Luke, Yoda, and R2D2 is just comedic gold, and I just love it every time.
And
Yeah,
Yoda's kind of like this empty, this bottomless pit of wisdom.
He is.
Like as I got older, that's what I'm talking about. Like I would want to write down like things he says, or it'd be like it would hit me in such a deep way sometimes, some of his quotes and how meaningful they are.
Empire is also my favorite movie, and I think a lot of it has to do with Yoda and the way he's used there. Like you said, his wisdom, no line is wasted. And since episode 1 all the way to episode 8, I think Yoda works always. He's never had a bad moment. But Empire shows so much, like you said, Michelle, at the beginning, he's just beating on R2, making fun of Luke, and you think he's this weird gremlin kind of guy, and then I can't teach him, no patience. Whoa, you react the same as Luke if that's the first. You don't know anything about Yoda, and this is the Jedi Master, and then everything he teaches Luke. To me, is my favorite part of Empire. I was watching it a few weeks ago, and every time my kid said something, I had to pause it because, of course, it's in the Yoda scene, so I had to go back. I don't want to miss anything. So yeah, the Yoda scenes in Empire is one of my favorites also. My favorite scene in Star Wars is just New Hope, Luke looking at the twin sons on Tatooine when his uncle said, no, maybe next year. And then the music comes up, he's looking out, and then the message, for me, the theme of Star Wars, which is hope, is just Luke looking at the sunset, wanting to do more with his life than just be a moisture farmer. To me, that's what Star Wars is about, and I think it will always be my favorite thing.
I love that because I think you're right. That is really the main theme of it is hope. And like hope is one of the most, powerful things in the world, I think. And if you don't have hope, you don't have much. So that is a beautiful thing about it.
Classic, beautiful scene.
Yeah. And like everyone said, without the John Williams score, I don't know if it works as well, but just the way.
Definitely no.
Right.
All right, so just 2 more questions. I think on your live stream talking about 80 shows that you had recently been seeing, I think you were talking about E.T. You also mentioned that movies now don't take a lot of risks, a lot of comic book movies, sequels, stuff like that. And even you said Star Wars was a risk at the beginning. It was an independent film that just blew up, basically. But do you think Star Wars is at a point that is too big to take risk, or is there a way for them to take a risk, either movie or TV or something? And what do you think that would be, or what would be a risk for you in Star Wars?
That's a good question.
That is a very good question. I'd have to think about it more, but I would say that there still is a way.
Yeah.
I think with the sequel trilogy, or even with the prequels, I think with the Skywalker saga, you had to stay with the Star Wars formula. So I think when they get away from that, they can begin to have risk more, and they can do kind of a fresh take on Star Wars, but in a way that still feels like Star Wars.
Yes. Because the feel is so important.
It is. So I don't know if that would be going forward, just going to a totally different part of the galaxy, but I think there's a way for them to shake it up in a way that we can all find it just kind of revitalizing and fresh. So I think yes.
And of course, you're going to have some of the main Star Wars fans that I think you're never going to please. There is no right answer to that. You know,
are there some out there? I think everyone's pretty. They're even keel, most of them.
Right.
I was thinking again, listen to your Wonder Woman review or breakdown, because I love Wonder Woman. Love taking my daughter to watch it, and it was a great movie. Plus the first real female-led superhero movie, and it broke a lot of ground. The trench scene, the no man's land scene, it's iconic. It's one of the best scenes out there. And even though I like Marvel, also it didn't have that same reaction or that same emotional feel that Wonder Woman had. So yes, I hope Star Wars can find a way to reinvent itself a little bit to be groundbreaking again. I don't know if they'll be able to do something as relevant as what Wonder Woman was back then, just a few years ago, but hopefully they find a way. To me, I would like to see something that you're watching a movie and you don't know it's a Star Wars movie, it's a science fiction movie, and then at the end something, either a lightsaber comes out or someone says, "May the Force be with you," and then you wait, what? Is it Star Wars? And then it kind of surprises you that way. I think a few movies have done that. One of the recent Cloverfield movies did something similar. So there's precedence to kind of show you something and then hopefully bring it back to Star Wars. So we'll see. Again, there's smart people out there, so hopefully they'll figure something out.
I think Danny made a good point. Simplified Danny, and that is that the Mandalorian was a risk, and I think they found a way to make it. They kind of breathed fresh, like life onto Star Wars, like it felt refreshing and new, while at the same time being something we're familiar with. So I do think they did a great job with that. That's a good point. But I think they can do something totally even different beyond that. I think there's just so much room with Star Wars, really. I think sometimes we think so narrow with Star Wars, but it's a huge galaxy.
I was going to say, we forget it's a big galaxy.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian was great because it brought everyone together. It has a lot of the original trilogy feel for people that are just set on the original trilogy, but it's new. It's a TV series, so we've never seen this before for Star Wars, so other fans are going to be into it. Mandalorian is something that I watch with my family on Fridays. If I woke up at 3 in the morning and watch it, my wife would get angry. And they do like Star Wars, but usually they won't go out to the movies on the first night. They'll wait for it to come out and stuff like that. But Mandalorian, we got to sit there and we got to watch it as a family, my 10-year-old, my 7-year-old. So it was a risk that paid off incredibly. Baby Yoda, we all know why. But there is so much. It brings you back to A New Hope with that episode. There's a lot of it, the new technology for people that like that. So it was a risk. It was something different. It did pay off. And hopefully season 2, whenever it comes out, and the Kenobi series, Cassian Andor, all that, those do follow those formula. That same vein, Eden Gray does say that the way The Mandalorian was made, all the different directors, yes, I very much agree that the whole show was a big risk. So yeah, there's ways to do it. Hopefully they keep doing it. And Danny also says this new High Republic stuff will be a risk because they are introducing it through books versus a movie streaming service. So following Danny's comment, for you guys, what excites you for the future of Star Wars? Is it the TV shows, hopefully new movies? Is it the books? What excites you about the future of Star Wars, or what are you looking forward?
Well, I look forward to all of it. I'm very excited about this new High Republic book series because I do enjoy the books. And I'm very excited. Are we ever going to get announcements on what's going on with the Obi-Wan show or movie? I'm very excited about The Mandalorian season 2. So I'm very excited about television. But I also, at the end of the day, as much as I love TV, Star Wars it's just made to be cinematic. And I'm very excited for them to kind of truly develop a new great trilogy or series, whatever they want to do, in whatever time period they want to do it. And I'll be excited to see something totally different outside the Skywalker saga. For once, that'll be kind of new.
Yeah.
And same, a lot of the same things. Very excited for Mandalorian season 2 and what they do with that. And I wouldn't mind seeing a Han Solo too.
Yeah,
I see that on Twitter a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
And I will say, since I'm going to say what I want, I've said this before, I truly want the Duffer Brothers of Stranger Things to get a Star Wars project, because they took something, it's very Spielberg-like, but yet it's unique. It was exciting and different. There's so much charm in the show, and it develops so many incredible characters. And I think that's key for any person who takes a Star Wars project. Can you develop great characters?
They really know how to tie together science fiction and those relationships and those characters you get attached to. So I totally agree with you on that. I think they do great.
So the people have started the Solo too. I'm going to start the Duffer Brothers Star Wars movement.
Yeah.
We're going to create a new hashtag here. Duffers for Star Wars or something. We'll come up with something better. Yes. Stranger Things. It's a great show. I haven't listened to your breakdown of it. I know you just talked about it a few weeks ago. So there'll be a great choice for either a trilogy, just so they can develop those characters, or a TV series. For me, movie-wise, I don't know. We'll see what comes out. I love Solo, as I said here plenty of times. So Solo 2, I'm all for it. I'm really excited for the Kenobi series because he's one of my favorite characters, but I'm a little bit more excited for the Cassian Andor series for some reason. But for me, I'm really, really waiting for that High Republic books to come out. I'm extremely excited about those. I think Danny mentioned, it's books versus movies that they're focused right now. But I'm sure in 1 or 2 years they'll adapt some of those stories, or some of those characters will make that jump to TV series or to movies. So I'm really excited about the High Republic and what that brings to Star Wars. It's not the Skywalker saga, it's not those characters that we know. 200 years in the past, but there's still that Star Wars feel, hopefully, because it's still in universe. So hopefully it does work. But there's a lot to be excited for.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So one final check with the chat before we move on, and let's say bye to certain point of view. Thanks for joining us. I'm guessing Adam or just, I don't know, both of you. Thank you guys for sticking with us for almost 50 minutes. And look, there Danny said.
I wanted to tell the guys real quick, thank you for noticing my Dumb and Dumber reference.
Oh, yeah. There we go. I missed it. So extra point for a certain point of view.
Yes.
And then Mr. Red says, Make Solo 2 happen. I can't stand Toro Calican, and I'm with you. That off-brand Han Solo. I know that some people out there do like him, but no, I don't know. It could have worked. It didn't work. That whole episode to me wasn't the best. There's a lot of callbacks to A New Hope, and I love what they did with the Tusken Raiders, but the episode in general wasn't my favorite, and I think Toro Calican was a big part of it.
Yeah, I think we kept referring to him as a moron on our episode.
Hey, I'm not gonna fight you on that one. All right, so with that said, let's go to our main topic, which is women in Star Wars. So when I reach out to you guys, I almost said kind of. I cut myself. So I asked if there was something specific that you guys wanted to talk about, and just like, hey, let's talk about women in Star Wars, Leia, Padme, Rey, Ahsoka, Cara Dune. Yes. So let's go and let's see where this takes us. And for you guys in the chat, again, just jump in. Let us know what you think about these great characters, not just female characters, just great characters in general in Star Wars. So let's start with the original one, which is Leia. I have here my little Leia
Aw.
bobblehead. So why do you think Leia has been so iconic and so not important, but so iconic and relevant in Star Wars for the past, 42, 43 years? What do you think makes her so iconic?
Well, I think because I know there's a quote of Carrie Fisher saying, "I'm the beginning of girl power, deal with it." And I think she really was, because you think about it, this is before Sarah Connor's character, or before Connor's character became like truly an awesome female character in Terminator 2.
Let's do the second one,
So we get this character who right off the bat, she looks at Luke like, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? And then she's the one, someone's got to save our skins. Like, she just was it the typical way women had been portrayed. And then you see her commanding the army at times and being a commander. And so I think that's what makes her stand the test of time. And there's just a likableness about her. Like, she's smart, she's intelligent, she's capable of shooting someone with a gun, but she still has like a lot of heart and is likable. Like, she's not a woman that men wouldn't like. She's a woman that men would respect. And that just comes across like on camera.
Yeah, and I think she's basically just such an embodiment of a strong woman.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that resonated with people back then. And like Michelle said, they really didn't have near as many examples of that for little girls or women. And, it's lived on and aged well to this day. She was kind of one of the original, girl power, like she said.
I mean, I would still say Leia is like one of the strongest. Well, I think that about the three original trilogy characters probably, but I mean, she's just an incredibly strong character in all of Star Wars in general. Just so likable, and I think Carrie Fisher brought that. And Carrie Fisher, and I heard that's what George Lucas was looking for. She just brings the way she talks. She doesn't talk like she's trying to flirt with someone. There's confidence in the way she talks, and it's endearing. But like I said, she's not overbearing. There's also a gentleness that I think, endears her to men also. So she's just a very
well-rounded character.
Yes, incredibly.
Yeah, I think Carrie Fisher helped write some of the scenes with Leia. She helped with the script, so her personality came through on it. Like you mentioned, Michelle, is before Sarah Connor became the Sarah Connor from Terminator 2. I think at that point, maybe Ripley from the Aliens movie was the only big female action star out there, but that's an R-rated movie. A lot of kids didn't see that growing up. So it was great for older people in their 20s, 30s, younger women, girls watching this. Leia was a great inspiration. Like you said, she does need to be rescued, but she can take care of herself. She grabs the blaster, blows the hole into the chute. Like you said, aren't you too short to be a stormtrooper? What are we doing? Just get this furry oaf out of my way. So she's commanding. She's great as a general behind the scenes making plans, but also she's the soldier fighting on. And it's something that women and girls can look up to. Guys can also say, like you mentioned, respect her. She's not just eye candy over there. And the people, oh yeah, the slave Leia scene, of course. But there's so much that comes before with Leia that sets her as a full-fledged character. And like you mentioned, Natalie goes for years and years that it still lives on. 40 years later, you can watch these movies. They're not dated. Her character's not dated. It's ahead of its time.
Yes.
And that brings to what I want to talk to you, Michelle, that you mentioned your favorite scene in Empire Strikes Back. And like I said, for me, that relationship didn't seem to be there at that point. But can you, the both of you, explain a little bit what you said on your show between that relationship between Han Solo and Leia in Empire?
Yes, that in the beginning when Han is saying, he's saying, come on, you don't want me to go because the way you feel about me. Like, you can take that as he's being arrogant, but
or cocky.
Yes, but he's actually very perceptive, because Leia has deep feelings for Han by the time Empire starts. But she can't give in to them because he's so different from what she's supposed to be into.
Yeah, I think there's this growing, almost innate attraction to Han, being so opposite in some ways of herself. But she's kind of deceiving herself for a while. She's trying to tell herself, like,
I only like good guys, so she says.
Who is this guy? Like, I don't have feelings for him. So she's really not being honest with herself, and Han knows it.
Yeah, and that's why when she kisses him in the Falcon for the first time, it's actually not just rushed, because it's actually, she finally just allows herself to do what she kind of has felt, but it's been subconscious.
Mm-hmm. So for you, Natalie, what's your favorite Leia scene? Or when you think about Leia, what's the first scene that pops up?
The first scene that just popped up for some reason is when she is choking Jabba the Hutt. That's a good one. Just, an image that came to my brain. And she's got a lot of great scenes. Gosh, it'd take me a minute to think which is my favorite, but that one was a good one, and I was happy for her when she did that.
So Peter says on the chat, in the Bloodline book by Claudia Gray, I don't know if you guys had a chance to read it. It does talk about her being the Hutt Slayer. So it's a great way to, that's guys growing up. Oh yeah, that's slave outfit. But no, she's now known as the Hutt Slayer, how she took down Jabba the Hutt with his own chain. Yes. So that book and Claudia Gray's other book, Leia, Princess of Alderaan, add a lot to the character, how she knew that something was going on with her parents, with Bail and Brea meeting behind the scenes, setting up the rebellion. And we know Leia, she's not gonna sit on the sidelines. She knows something is up. She knows Tarkin is involved in something, and she wants to be upfront about it and see what's going on and help out. And Eden Gray as Leia is just so damn stubborn on her own that she refuses to admit her feelings, like you guys are saying. I like she's seeing that stubbornness from both of them behind the scenes in the Bloodline novel as well. So and Danny adds, 100% on the comments with Han and Leia's relationship. And again, that's why we need a different point of view, a different set of eyes, not just me. That scene, they have no connection. I'm wrong, and everyone else seems to. I'll say it now in a different way, and hopefully I'll pick up what you guys are saying. So what else about Leia? Again, she was iconic when the movies came out in the late 70s and 80s. Then we saw her on the new trilogy. Unfortunately, she couldn't finish, but her scenes were still impactful, even in Rise of Skywalker, her talking to Rey and all that. What else about Leia, apart from the original trilogy, that gets you guys thinking about the character? What do you like about the way she was portrayed in the sequel trilogy?
Well, I like, I think I think she was portrayed pretty well, and I think they handled the end as well as they could with the footage they had left with her. I think at that point, honestly, when the Rise of Skywalker trailer came out, when I saw Leia and the music was going, like, I teared up. And I realized through the sequel trilogy that for some reason, Leia has like just such a tremendous hold on my heart out of these characters. Like, there's this immediate awe, like, towards Leia's character.
And I think in the sequel trilogy, she's still very strong and very much in charge. But she definitely has more of a maternal feel to her in this trio.
That's true.
Being a mother herself, and she is sort of becomes a mother figure to Rey, which I think is sweet and even helps with her training. And so I think they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, in fact, I love that they finally showed us that she was trained by Luke, because I always thought she should have been from their conversation in Return of the Jedi. So that made me happy. I was very thrilled with that.
Yeah. I'll add, as we talked about before, the themes in Star Wars, the music scores are, again, very iconic. But as a kid growing up, I'm used to the Imperial March, the Jedi theme, and all this. I didn't register too much the Leia theme growing up. But in the past few years, hearing more people say, no, that theme is very impactful, it's very emotional. You do see it, how well it's used. And like you said, Michelle, now with the sequel trilogy, after Carrie Fisher's passing, every time I hear that music, I just well up and tear up immediately. But it's also, and then you go back to the original, it was still used at the beginning. That theme was used. It's so great. It brings you to those emotional feels. And it's just a great character. Everything else that evolved after her, need to say thank you to Leia, to Carrie Fisher, paving the way moving forward, not just for other female characters in Star Wars, but in general. It's a great character. It's one of those that you don't hear people talking bad about Leia ever. even on Star Wars Twitter.
And that is a great point that you made, because I think that's why it hits me on an emotional level, because there's music attached to Leia. And when that theme plays, you just almost tear up, because it hits you in the feels in all the right ways.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. Anything else about Leia before we move on?
Well, I was just going to say, I think she's the most almost well-rounded character in a way. I mean, I think she's a great character, because it's like, as much as she will take charge, she takes charge more in a leader way. When we're going to talk about Cara Dune takes charge more in a soldier way. Like, you can tell she's going to follow orders and do what like she's told, where Leia's more the type personality you can see she's going to plot what to tell them to do and then go do it. So I think she's just like I said, I guess that just goes
to reference our Wonder Woman discussion. She is a man with a plan.
The man who can.
A man who can.
Like, she really is. And I think that's kind of what makes her stand out. You always feel like Leia knows what to do.
Yes.
You feel confident with Leia.
Yeah, so I had on my notes, actually, what do you think about Leia's leadership skills? And I think you just said it. She's just not there. She's not just a pretty face. She's just not dropping a gun or blast and just heading forward. She has this plan. She's a great leader since A New Hope, then passing this on to Poe in The Last Jedi, a little bit to Rey later in Rise of Skywalker with her Jedi training. So I agree 100%. Her leadership skills, she knows how to interact with people and mold her leadership to those that she's trying to convince or trying to motivate. So it's not just one of this is the only way to do things and we have to go. She molds the way she talks to others to motivate them. And I think her leadership skills from the first movie all the way to the end are unmatched almost with other generals in Star Wars.
Yes.
All right, so moving on from Leia, we'll go backwards in time to her mom, and we'll talk about Padme Amidala. So yes, Padme, better as a queen or a senator? That's a weird question. You don't have to answer.
Well, I think because I couldn't get past the makeup, I'm going to have to go with senator. And I will say about this, it's not that I dislike Padme. I don't. I like Padme fine, but I think it kind of goes to my issues with the prequel trilogy. I don't think the characters were as well developed in a way, and I think some of it was all the green screen use, and I don't know. Because it's great actors. Natalie Portman's a great actress. But there's just something, I feel like I lack a little with that character, that I like her, but I don't ever feel like the emotional level, like I already feel more for Cara Dune than I ever did for Padme.
and it's been so long. I need to go back and watch the prequel trilogy. But is Padme, or is this wrong? It's like she doesn't come across as strong as some of the other female characters.
She doesn't. That's it. Almost like when you said they go back, let's go back in time. It almost feels like the character went back a little bit. So maybe it fits because they went back in time. And she is a strong character in her own right. And you see that in the second movie where Obi-Wan say, I think she's already on top of things or something like that. And that's probably my favorite portrayal of her, would probably be the second movie, honestly. Because then in the third one, she's just pregnant with Luke and Leia and she's not given much to do. So some of it's that, like she doesn't get as much to do in the third one. Right. And it feels a little wasted for this character. So not that that's wasted.
Yeah, not that pregnancy is powerful on its own.
Yeah, they just don't give her near as much to do, is what I'm saying. And so I think that would probably be the issue there. But she's still, like, you're still sad when she dies. I mean, you still like her. She's just, out of these characters, I would say it's the weakest, in my opinion, of these characters.
Yeah. So Eden Gray says, reading the E.K. Johnson's Padme series really gives a much deeper look into the character's head and gives her so much depth. I have to agree, I've only read the first one, Queen's Shadow, which it's right after Phantom Menace. It goes with her handmaidens. She's starting to be a senator and she meets Leia Organa. They start a relationship and he starts not bringing her into the rebellion, but showing her, hey, it's not all what it seems out there. Don't trust politicians, other stuff of that nature. But what you're saying, it's true. It's not groundbreaking that people do say that Padme switched from episode 1, 2, and 3 to that last
Yeah,
movie. She
she
was
does. All
relegated.
3 movies. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I was thinking about this actually, I think it was yesterday. And I think we're used to Leia, unfortunately, being this great character as a rebellion leader behind the scenes, making the plans, and also as a soldier fighting on the front lines. That maybe we expected the same thing from Padme because that's the way she was shown in the first movie. She starts as a queen going to Naboo asking for help, but by the end she's blasting away trying to free her people. And Attack of the Clones, same thing. She's in the arena trying to get out. Like you said, when they're gonna be executed, she's climbing the tower. When Obi-Wan says, "Oh, she's on top of things." But I think by the third one, she doesn't do a lot, but I think she's more of a politician at that point. That she's just behind the scene. She's not gonna be up front fighting anymore. She's just, okay, what's going on? There's something weird. Let me talk to Bail Organa and the other rebel leaders and try to figure a way around this. But it wasn't explained too well in the movies. It just seemed like a different character, like you said. But those books that Eden mentioned does do a little bit more in making her more relatable, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, I still like her. She's just,
Yeah.
it's just not, I don't connect as much with her as
Well,
I do
and
some
it's
of the
kind of
others.
like as the viewer, she had big shoes to fill. Even though I know
Yes.
she's the mother of our main lady that we had come to know and love. But yeah, it's like kind of like we had Leia, and then we meet a new female character, and it's hard to live up to that.
Mhm.
But I will say, I think I was saying this. I feel like with Leia, you could almost see like her mother's intelligence was passed down. Like I do
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, again,
Sometimes I don't know if Luke fully got it, but no, I'm just kidding.
Maybe
Luke
that's why I'm
still,
playful.
he's a little bit slower getting those things. Oh, that's what you meant. 2 movies later.
But Padme is like so much smarter than Anakin, and so I think Leia got that intelligence, fortunately.
Yeah.
but she got Anakin's like just ability to jump into things too, I'd say.
Mhm. Yeah, it's I think a lot of what people complain about the prequels at the beginning was all the political aspects behind it. People didn't like them too much, and then George tried to back away from it while still trying to make Padme this rebel leader or rebellion leader. That it didn't play well because I think they were too far away from the political aspect when your whole trilogy is about the Republic falling down from inside. I think they should have stick to it. And hopefully Padme would have had more to do in that sense, forming the rebellion and all that stuff. But unfortunately, we can't go back and fix it. But yeah,
No.
Padme is a great character. Like Eden said, that Clone Wars does flesh her out a little bit more. There's now
Yes.
novels coming about her. So it's a character that was maybe a little bit underused, but it's starting to gain a little bit more traction now.
Yes.
All right, so moving on to now we're jumping to the future, and it's Rey Skywalker. And yes, I called her Rey Skywalker, not Rey of Nowhere. So let's start. Now that the sequel trilogy is over, the Skywalker saga is over for now, who knows? What are your overall thoughts about the sequel trilogy? Did you like it? Enjoyed it? Not for you?
I like the sequel trilogy, and sometimes this feels like a controversial statement with half the Star Wars fans. I love the character of Rey, and I know so many people will say, "Oh, she's boring," and I don't find her boring. Like I think she has one of the best introductions in all of Star Wars. And by the time you see her take the mask off, her theme is beautiful. That begins to play, and there's a mystery around Rey in the first one. And I just really I just really grew to love this character. I was interested in her in the first one and loved her journey throughout. And especially in the last one, which that would be controversial to some people, I know, but I loved what they did with her character and think that she does bring something to as a female character. She does have so much kindness and just kind of warmth that kind of gets from Daisy Ridley's performance, but yet, and that's where we don't have time to get into the Mary Sue argument here, which she's not. And we're not going to. But she really does, like, there's so much about her. She's not overly confident all the time, and I appreciate that. I feel like that's relatable. It's someone who has so much power and she doesn't even really know how to use it fully, and that makes her she's kind of not sure of herself. And that's why at the end, when she says that, she finally knows who she is and she's sure of herself, and it's a really powerful moment.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, for me, I love Rey. My daughter's favorite character. Her introduction in The Force Awakens was great. They show, I think, I don't, people make their own minds, but from the beginning, you see her scaling this Star Destroyer, going down the sand, living by herself in this harsh landscape, this harsh planet. They're showing you right from the beginning that she gets stuff done. She can fend for herself since she was 5 years old. So for the past 15 years, she's been doing it. So the Mary Sue argument to me holds no weight because they show you right from the beginning that she's capable of doing all these things. She saved Finn when he's running away from the stormtroopers. Or first beats the crap out of him first. She beats the other two guys, and then from then goes on. She says that she's flown plane fighters before. So it's let's not get into it. But
well, and I think they do a good job with that. Like, you feel for Rey, like you feel her loneliness in that movie.
Yeah.
And that's why you're so excited as she begins to meet these characters, and as Han takes her under his wing, and then eventually Leia, and you just really appreciate as she kind of her journey's almost more about finding herself than it is about becoming something. And I think that's kind of a neat thing.
Yeah, she's not the hero of her own journey, of her own movie till the end of the first one. Because we're following her, but she doesn't believe anything. She's just trying to get home, trying to help Finn, trying to help Chewbacca. She doesn't believe that this is her story until the end, until she gets that lightsaber in her hand. And that's when she starts to believe. And even after that, she falls back that, no, I'm not cut out for this. But before we go on, Eden says, yes, she loves that stop holding my hand thing in The Force Awakens. I think that's great. She says it twice. I love when Finn gets up, are you okay? And she's, yeah, I saved you. So yeah, I'm fine. And Danny also says Rey is her favorite character. Her introduction is amazing and her growth was incredible. And we all agree with that. So what was your first reaction when you saw that Star Wars was going to have a female lead to lead this new trilogy?
Well, they kind of tricked us all. They had more like a Finn was more up front and center than the original characters. So I kind of went into it not expecting it. And so when I watched this character, it was just I was taking it in like a kid, honestly, like with a smile and just loving it. And even our mother, like the moment where the lightsaber in The Force Awakens goes past Kylo Ren to her, like even our mom was like, yes, like it's just
kind of gives you chills.
It does. It was just this moment that I think, we female Star Wars fans, and we exist. There's a lot of us that it was just it was almost the Wonder Woman walking through the trench. Like it was like this moment of, oh yes, like this is the character. And it was powerful.
And something I've talked about with Michelle before, like when it comes to, I think sometimes I wasn't aware until I got older that let me put it this way. As a female, whether I'm reading about a male character in a movie, a male singing a song, I'll put myself in their shoes and I'm able to identify with them. But I didn't really realize till I got older that, now I know there are a lot that can, but kind of like she's saying the Mary Sue argument, there's a lot of males that seems like they can't seem to identify with a female character. And that's why I didn't really get the whole thing until I grew up and until I was an adult that, I have no trouble. Like if it's Luke or whoever, I can put myself in their shoes and identify with that character, but a lot of males, vice versa, not so much.
But I like how you're saying Rey's my favorite character. I think as time goes on, you're going to hear more Rey things come out. Yeah, she is my character, and I maybe some people always heard her, but I think she really does have huge fans that really appreciate this character.
Yeah, like you mentioned, that scene at the end of The Force Awakens, that's my favorite scene in the whole trilogy. Is her grabbing the lightsaber, and then you hear that Jedi music come up. every time I tear up. I'm a big softie now since I became a father. But that scene is my favorite in the whole trilogy, and it works great in the movie, works great in her character moving forward. It's, and I was gonna ask you what you guys thought about that scene. You talked about it a little bit already, but yeah, that's my favorite scene in the whole trilogy.
I remember I went home after I watched it the first time and I tweeted out something. Star Wars has created one of the best female characters, like, or awesome female characters.
I was just saying my reaction was pure awesome.
Yeah, like it was awesome.
Right, sorry,
It's okay.
it's kind of weird. So yeah, any final thoughts on Rey before we move on to Ahsoka Tano?
Just like at some point, I'll probably do a special episode discussing her arc because, again, I think she truly has a powerful arc in this movie, and I love where she ends again with realizing she finally knows who she is and she's found what she has desired, which is really just relationship and identity, really.
Yeah, like this is who I am. And I think Rey is misunderstood by a lot of Star Wars fans.
Yes.
Yeah, I did a small breakdown of the whole her arc in the new trilogy back ago. But there's a lot of it. If you start seeing her journey throughout the whole trilogy, there's a lot to look into, a lot to break down. It's not as easy. It's just another female Jedi. There's a lot that goes on with her journey.
Yes.
All right, so Ahsoka Tano, the main female lead of the Clone Wars. So I'm assuming you finished, you watched the last season of Clone Wars. What are your thoughts about it?
I love this character. And even though the first couple episodes she was in were a little, they're okay. Obviously it kept getting better and better. But the moment she was back on screen and you heard her voice, it was heartwarming. Like Ashley Eckstein does such a great job of voicing this character. Like there's so much warmth and strength all at the same time in this character of Ahsoka. And she just has some incredible scenes throughout Clone Wars and Rebels that she truly has become one of my favorite characters and so many favorite character. She just, again, she has such grace and warmth. And I think she truly is the embodiment of what a Jedi should be, like a light side user should be. And Rey too, in a way.
Yes, Michelle actually introduced me to Ahsoka for the first time a few months ago, and like Michelle said, I kind of immediately saw the attraction to her and why she's a fan favorite, because she is, like she said, a great embodiment of what a good Jedi should be. She's strong and powerful, but it's also so clear that she's caring and kind and compassionate. So great character there.
Yes, and I can't wait to see her in live action.
Yeah.
Very excited about that.
Yes.
Right. I'll try not to spoil anything since Vader Girl hasn't watched the last season of Clone Wars yet, so we won't get too much into that part. Okay. And sorry for you guys for saying the chat there was some issues with the audio. Yes, for some reason my mic was hanging in and out of the output, so I had to disconnect it. So hopefully everything's working out now. But Ahsoka had a problem that a lot of people had at the beginning with the character. I didn't start to resonate with her till about season 3 or season 4 of the Clone Wars. So that's when, in general, the story started picking up a little bit more. She became more, now fleshed out, a more adult character a little bit, still being young, but it's not as young as she was before. And by the time we meet her in Rebels, that's my favorite. Ahsoka is the one we get in Rebels. So when she shows back in the Clone Wars for this last season, it took me a while to get back in with her because we go to a 30-year-old Ahsoka back to an 18-year-old or whatever age she was. So it took me a while to get into it. But yes, she's a great character, a great Jedi. A lot of people love her as maybe what the embodiment of a Jedi should be at this point. And it's such a beloved character. I did 2 polls on Twitter a while back. One was what was people's favorite lightsaber, and surprising for me, she won. She got the most votes. And asking what's the best master and apprentice or Jedi and Padawan, it was Anakin and Ahsoka. I didn't expect that. It was close to the end of Clone Wars, so she was still in everyone's mind. But right now, she's one of the most famous and more beloved Star Wars characters in general. And that's the beauty about a TV show that runs for 7 seasons. You can expand this character, flesh them out so much, and it's great what Dave Filoni was able to do with her. Um, was there anything special about Ahsoka, a special scene or the way she reacted to something that really grabbed you, or have you always loved the character from the beginning?
Well, I think it's like you said, she continues to grow on you as she gets more and more mature throughout the Clone Wars. But in Rebels, she just has so much confidence in Rebels. And I love the part where she realizes who Darth Vader is and she like faints because she realizes who it is. And then secondly, the whole lightsaber duel with her. And one of my favorite lines in all Star Wars now is that Vader saying, "That's not the Jedi way. I'm no Jedi."
Yeah.
And then just the lightsabers go out. That line was just so well used and planned out since she had left the Jedi Order. Technically, that was true. So it was just, I love that scene. That's like chilling.
What about for you, Natalie? Anything? What's your not favorite Ahsoka moment, but what is it about Ahsoka that really resonates with you?
I would say probably something I look for in a lot of people that I really look up to, but the fact that she is strong, but also kind and compassionate, it's very clear.
Yeah.
So you did mention that you're ready to see Ahsoka in a live action series, hopefully either if it's just her appearance in Mandalorian or the rumors that she'll have her own series going forward. We know we're going to see more of her eventually. Do you want to see this in a live action show or an animated series, be it the Rebel sequel, looking for Ezra, or live action? Let's see her live action.
Oh, I can do all of the above. Like you can't have, it's kind of like Baby Yoda. Like right now, I haven't had my fill of Ahsoka. So I'm down for whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
I prefer live action for the reason if they introduce her in Mandalorian season 2, even if it's for a brief period, as a live action character, to then bring it back to live action seems a little weird to me. I mean, to animate it seems a little weird. But again, I'm sure they know what they're doing. And we're going to get more with Ahsoka. We know Dave Filoni is not done with her. The fans are not done because everyone right now are on an Ahsoka high. And I want to see her more of the Ahsoka that we left behind in Rebels. That's the one I want to follow. So, yes. And since you mentioned Baby Yoda, I think I'm obligated to show him every time he's mentioned. All right, so let's move on to our final female character to talk about, and I can't find the right word. There's so many great female characters in Star Wars that we don't have time to talk about, so I don't want to give the impression that we're jumping some of them because we don't think they deserve to be taught. There's just so many great characters out there. We just decided on these 5. So Cara Dune, badass character or the most badass character in all of Star Wars?
She is. And I mean, it was so, especially once you found out, they just picked the right person to play this. Because
she nails it.
Gina Carano has brought something new to a female character. We've never had a female character that is just this. I mean, Gina Carano, she makes you believe like she could take out all these men. Like, and she clearly is stronger than most women, as they show that she just went and lifted up the guy in the Mandalorian suit with all the armor and just dragged him across, and they were just kind of like, oh,
right.
So she just brings something neat because, and I've watched some of her other movies, she can bring an element of fighting that we've never seen before with a woman. So I just can't wait to see more of her character. I hope there's more of her character. Like, when I say more, I mean, I hope she's in season 2 more than she was season 1.
Me too.
Because she's just it's a different take on a female character in Star Wars, and it's refreshing, and I really like it.
Well, and I think like we touched on earlier, she is truly kind of like a soldier.
Yes.
And she's strong. And another big personality trait I can see of hers, from the show, she's very loyal.
Yes.
Once she kind of commits to you, I think she commits to you and she's in it to the end. So I really enjoy her character, and Gina Carano just does a fantastic job.
Like, not to compare her, this is gonna sound bad, not to compare her to like Chewie, But I feel like she already, I don't mean it that way. I mean the way like Chewie, like really him and Han just have this bond, and like Chewie's there for Han. You kind of, like you said, the word loyalty.
Yeah.
You kind of already feel like she feels that way towards Mando. Like she's there for him. Like if he needs her, he can give her a call, and she's gonna come with her big gun, and she's gonna go in guns a-blazing for him. Like she just seems very loyal.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was the last episode or the second to last when he's getting his crew together. He goes to find her. He says, no, I'm fine here. And I don't remember what he says. And she's like, I'm in. Let's go do this.
He says they're Imperial, and she just smiles and says, I'm in.
I love her introduction because it's sometimes when characters are introduced, then halfway they start acting differently, and that's why they are not believable. Like you said, she can beat up anyone. Her introduction, she's just sitting there drinking her bone broth or whatever. Mando looks away, looks back, she's gone. The next time we see her, she's beating the crap out of him, and you believe it. She jumps from the vine, knocks him down. And like you mentioned, the way Gina Carano, her physicality with this character makes you believe that she can do all those stuff. And yeah, at the end, when she grabs that big cannon, just starts blasting everyone. I remember she I think it was episode 3 or episode 4, and then we didn't see her for about 3 episodes, and everyone said, no, we need more Cara Dune. So yeah, I'm on board. We need more of her. She's a great character. Her loyalty is something, like you mentioned, that hasn't been explored too much. We know,
and you can tell by the end of it that she's truly endeared at that point to Baby Yoda. So you think she's going to want to kind of know what's going on there.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I can't wait. Yeah, Baby Yoda. I can't wait. Who wouldn't want to watch over Baby Yoda? But I'm just excited, like I said, to see her because she truly is. I would have to say she is the most unique of any of the female characters we've discussed.
Right.
Even though they're all fighters, she brings, it's just Gina Carano's physicality that makes her so different.
Yeah, she's a different flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's a New Republic shock trooper. That she's from Alderaan, so I would love to know where she was when Alderaan was blown up. I don't know the timeline, so I don't know how old she was at the moment. It would be great to know where she was. I'm sure this is what pushed her to join the New Republic or the Rebellion and then the New Republic. But it's a great.
What did you guys love? I would absolutely love a prequel of Cara Dune, like a Cara Dune book, and give that background because I would love to know that too, and just go through maybe one of her war times. Like I would love to know more about this character.
Last week they mentioned a bunch of Mandalorian-inspired books that are coming out at the end of the year. Some of them were some comics that said, I think, inspired by The Mandalorian or something like that. So hopefully we get more with Cara Dune. There's a lot of rich backstory that we need to or would love to be addressed. Not just her time with the New Republic. We know that she lives it because now we're just chasing Imperials or governors. We don't care. So then she goes into bounty hunter mode or mercenary. So that time frame is very interesting. And I do hope that they do something with it at some point in their book. Who knows if she gets her own spin-off series just moving forward. So, and yes, we need more Cara Dune in season 2, and I'm sure they have to.
Yeah, like I hope we get more of those 4 in the final episode. We need all of them together. They're just so much fun together.
All right, so I think that does it for Women in Star Wars. Any final thoughts before we move to a few fan questions about any of the characters we just discussed, or one that we didn't have a chance that you want to say something about?
I would say Natalie's not seen Rebels, but I can tell you Natalie would love Hera. Hera's a great female character. Like she's just so motherly and compassionate to all those characters. And kind of has that same calm confidence that you feel around her.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, Hera's another great character. I'm starting to do my Rebels rewatch. I'm only on the 3rd episode now. But she's another that grows so much with the series. You see that motherly instinct, not just... She has 2 kids, basically, with Ezra and... Not Sabine, and the other guy. The purple guy. I forget his name.
Yeah, I just forgot his name too.
Seb. Because
Yes, yes.
yeah, Ezra and Seb are always the siblings fighting, and she's the one in the middle trying to separate them. Her relationship with Kanan, again, no spoilers, but what everything that happens in that series is a great character. She's also shown in the Shadow Falls novels that I'm reading. She's in those as a general. We hear her in Rogue One that she's called with Chopper going around the screen. So Hera is another one that hopefully we get to see a little bit more about her.
Yeah. I
So
love
yeah,
that.
so that does it for our look back at some of our favorite women in Star Wars. And with that said, let's go to one of my favorite parts of the show, and that is hashtag Ask the Rebellion. When I reach out to you guys on Twitter, usually Wednesday, Thursday, ask you guys if you have any questions for us. And we got a few, not a lot. It goes up and down. Last week we have 2 questions. The week before we had about 6, so we spent about 30 minutes going over all the questions. But we have 3 questions today, or 3 in 1, because they all come from the same group, which is our friends Dave and Liv at Pizza and Parcel, which never fail to disappoint. And they have
They
3
do.
questions for us. Yeah. And the first one is, how do you stay so awesome? And I'll push that one to you guys. What makes you so awesome?
I think they meant that for you, actually.
Yes.
Uh,
You get that one.
I'll switch that question a little bit. And what makes your show, either your podcast or your YouTube shows, different from others out there? Because there's so many podcasts, especially Star Wars podcasts. Throw a stone, you'll hit 5. What makes yours a little bit different?
I think just Natalie and I's personalities as sisters, and just kind of the way we're able to bounce off one another,
Yeah.
and we're very different people. We at times you can think we just all agree all the time, but we're very similar in thought at times, but then we're very different. And I think those differences kind of come out.
I think our values and thoughts are very similar, but we have like totally different personalities, if that makes any sense.
Yes. So I think it's just that sisterly bond.
Yeah, and it comes through with the chemistry. Anyone that's listened to your shows or watched the YouTube shows would say the same thing. I gotta get my brothers on this one. They have 2 older brothers, and we do have different visions of Star Wars. I know one of them didn't like the sequel trilogy too much, so I'll bring them in and we'll set them straight. But for me, I'm awesome. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But if I got this guy, maybe. But it's something that we talked about at the beginning, and it's the interaction with the people on the chat that makes this, I don't want to say different, because a lot of other shows do that, but being just a single podcaster, YouTube, whatever, the interaction I get with the chat, and that's why I love that question so much, because it makes me interact with the fans out there, and that's what makes me want to keep doing this. So I say that's what I bring to this.
Yeah.
Plus, we're all awesome. Yeah.
And again, we commend you for doing it by
Yes,
yourself. That is so hard.
It is.
You guys don't even understand. That is difficult. So
Yes.
that's claps for that.
Thank you. And one of the reasons I also stopped editing my shows, like you mentioned, it's too much work. So as soon as I'm done here, I download it, put it on the podcast, add a quick intro, a soundbite, and then I can't be editing right now.
No.
All right. So our second question from, again, Dave and Liv, Pizza and Parsec, they ask, what's your go-to comfort food and movie or TV show combo?
Okay, if it's a movie, then I like popcorn and I get 2 fun-sized Snickers. So I'm all about portion control.
And I love anything sweet, pretty much.
Yeah, I also do like Bunchy Crunch. So sometimes I get rid of the Snickers for some Bunchy Crunch with popcorn.
Yeah, for me, it's popcorn. I'm 100% a popcorn guy. If I'm going to the movies, popcorn and soda, that's it. No portion control. Sorry, I'll get the biggest one, because at the end I have to refill it and bring it home. So, yes, I gotta do some exercise. A couple of days before the movie is coming out, I'll go to run a few laps, and then. And for TV, I don't have a go-to food if I'm watching a TV show. Maybe some cookies or something, but usually popcorn. Even if I'm watching at home, it's gonna be popcorn.
Yeah, I like to make popcorn.
Yeah. All right, and then finally, and this one was for me, and they said, and I'll try to go through it pretty quickly, because if not, it'll be a different podcast. And they say, specific to Alberto, I know you're an author. Would love to hear some more about that. So, sorry, I'm trying to find something. All right, so I don't consider myself an author. I have written 2 books, but I've self-published them. So I don't have a editor, a publishing company, or anything like that. Again, I don't even edit my own show, so obviously I don't consider myself an. But I've wrote 2 books, and this is the first one. I'll do some selfish promotion, I guess. So this is it. Yeah, that's my name there. About it. So Earthia, this is a fantasy book. I don't want to compare it to Lord of the Rings because that's too much high praise, obviously. But if you like that sort of thing, medieval things, there's dragons, there's magic, it's also a coming of age story. It has this young kid from 15 growing up, seeing all these great battles around him, wanting to do more, knowing that he's part of this. His grandfather was this great warrior. He gets into it. So you can find it on Amazon for, I don't know the price, but I think it's free. If you have a Kindle, you can get it for free. It took me
awesome. That is really cool.
Yeah, thank you. It's the first official thing that I've written, so the format is not the best. I had to learn as I go. I went by. It took me about a year to write, and I had to put some limits. If I used to go to my wife's house at the time. She was girlfriend, then fiance, was at her place at about 10. Then I went home to write. I had to put between 10 and 12 midnight. That was my writing window. After midnight, I had to stop no matter where it was, because then it was just garbage what I was writing. So even if I would finish my thought, finish my sentence, and then call it a day and pick it up the next time. And sometimes you write 3 pages. Sometimes you're stuck and you write a paragraph. So it might be challenging sometimes. But yeah, if you want to see or read a little bit of my fantasy book, Earthia, pretty simple. It's my name of one of my dogs a few years back. So there you go. And then since I love science fiction so much, I wrote this one, which is Across the Horizon, Book 1, Ad Astra. And this one took about 6 years. Yes. And the problem was I started writing. I wrote for about a year. I wrote almost 200 pages. And I left it because I couldn't break the ending. I didn't have a way to end it. So I just left it sitting there. I came back to it about 3 years later. I read it, and I didn't like it too much. I was always thinking about the follow-up. Also, this is what I want to do for the sequel. This is going to happen. So I was writing more the second book instead of finishing the first one. So I had to grab all those pages, condense it to a prologue, and then start all over again. So it did take me almost 6 years to write. And again, it's book 1, so eventually I'll write the second one. But again, if you guys want to check it out, it's there, Amazon. Search my name or search the book name, you'll find it. So yeah.
Hey, great things take time.
They do. That's impressive, though. Yes.
Thanks. So yeah, that basically does it for our show today. I want to thank my guests, Natalie and Michelle from Force of Light Entertainment. And I forgot to do all the things that we do at the beginning of the show, but where can our listeners find you guys out there?
They can find us. Well, you can find our podcast anywhere podcasts are. You can find our YouTube channel at Force of Light Entertainment. And then we are on Twitter and Instagram at Force of Light Entertainment. And then also I'm Michelle34 Smith on Instagram and Twitter, and Natalie.
And I am Natalie R. Grace on Twitter and Nat Loves Bella07 on Instagram.
Yes, yeah. Look us up.
And thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you. This has been so much fun.
Thanks. We gotta do it again sometimes. We'll find some other great characters to talk about. Thank you guys again for coming over again. This is why I got into podcasting, was to talk to fans like you guys. I didn't know how long this was gonna go, going on for almost an hour and 40 minutes. So I think this might be our longest show ever. So thank you.
There we go.
It's a record.
Yay! All thanks to Baby Yoda. So yeah, I forgot, as always at the beginning, if you're watching this, again, if you stuck with us for 2 hours, make sure to like, leave any comments later. If you're watching on the replay, subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, make sure to rate and review. Also, you can find us on Twitter or Instagram at Radio Rebel Pod, and my personal page at Tweets by AC. And if you're listening on the podcast, just go to YouTube, search Radio Rebellion Podcast, and you'll find us over there. So Thanks again for everyone out there for sticking in with us and listening. Thanks to Michelle and Natalie again, Force of Light Entertainment. Make sure to follow them. Watch their episode tomorrow on Jaws, another great 70s movie.
75.
75. Thank you. You guys are going back. You did your ET one, talking about a lot of 80s. Now Jaws. We'll see where all that goes. So thanks again to everyone on the chat. I'll send thanks to everyone on Twitter later. So as always, stay safe, be safe, and may the force be with you.
Yes.